Welcome back to my channel. Seth Rollins has crossed a line that many fans never thought he would cross, delivering what can only be described as a stunning act of betrayal and unleashing total chaos across Friday Night SmackDown. The self-proclaimed visionary did not simply return from injury to reclaim his place. Instead, he came back with a calculated agenda, backed by the terrifying presence of Akam and Rezar, the authors of Pain, whom he unveiled as his personal enforcers. Together, they carved a path of destruction through the show, dismantling opponents, humiliating authority figures, and turning everything Seth once claimed to stand for into ashes. This was not a triumphant comeback. This was a deliberate, ruthless declaration of war, and it instantly became one of the most shocking heel turns WWE has seen since Roman Reigns aligned himself with the bloodline. What made this moment so infuriating and unforgettable was the intent behind it. Seth did not lash out randomly or emotionally. Every move, every word, and every target felt premeditated. He attacked people who represented the future of the company, the wrestlers fans had rallied behind as the next generation. By doing so, Seth exposed his so-called fighting champion image as nothing more than a carefully crafted illusion. Beneath the flashy outfits and motivational speeches was an ego-driven manipulator who could not tolerate anyone rising close to his level. The hypocrisy was staggering. The violence was relentless. The transformation from hero to villain was so abrupt and severe that many fans felt as if they were watching the complete destruction of a character they had believed in for years. Before breaking down the carnage moment by moment, it is important to understand why this storyline has left the wrestling fanbase more divided and angry than almost any angle in recent memory. For the past 2 years, Seth Rollins had positioned himself as the heart and soul of WWE's locker room. He was the dependable leader, the man who showed up week after week, wrestled through pain, and preached about opportunity and respect. Fans admired his work ethic and embraced him as a champion who fought for the brand and for the business. He spoke about lifting others up and earning success through effort. That image is now shattered. With one night, WWE reframed all of that as manipulation. According to this new version of Seth, every smile and every inspirational promo was just part of a long con. He was waiting, watching, and preparing for the moment when he could seize power outright. Aligning himself with the authors of Pain gave him exactly what he needed: raw, intimidating muscle to impose his warped vision of what WWE should be. The events of that Friday night were anything but spontaneous. SmackDown began like any other episode, with General Manager Nick Aldis standing in the ring addressing the audience and hyping upcoming matches. The atmosphere was lively and positive, and there was no hint of the storm about to hit. Then Seth Rollins' entrance music hit, but it was noticeably altered. The familiar rhythm had been replaced with darker, more industrial tones that immediately changed the mood inside the arena. Fans erupted in excitement because Seth had been sidelined with a back injury for 6 weeks, and his return was highly anticipated. However, that excitement quickly turned to uncertainty the moment Seth appeared on the stage. Gone were the bright colors and flamboyant style. Seth was dressed entirely in black, from his pants to his vest and gloves. His face was expressionless, cold, and focused, devoid of the swagger fans were used to seeing. Behind him stood Akam and Rezar, looming like unstoppable machines, their presence alone signaling danger. The cheers softened into confused murmurs as the crowd tried to process what they were seeing. Even Nick Aldis looked stunned, clearly unaware that this confrontation was coming. Seth took his time walking to the ring, each step building tension, as if he wanted the discomfort to linger. Once inside the ring, Seth ignored the fans completely. There were no gestures, no acknowledgement, just an intense stare directed at Aldis. The general manager tried to welcome him back, but before he could finish, Seth ripped the microphone from his hand with such force that Aldis stumbled. Seth's voice was low and threatening as he spoke about the 6 weeks he spent recovering at home, reflecting on the injuries he claimed were the result of carrying the company on his back. During that time, he said, he realized that his sacrifices meant nothing to WWE. According to Seth, no one appreciated or respected what he had given to the business. As the crowd began to boo, sensing the shift but still hoping it wasn't real, Seth escalated his rant. He listed his accomplishments, main eventing WrestleMania, holding championships, and delivering matches that would be remembered for generations. Then he questioned how the company repaid him, accusing WWE of favoring short-term stars and handing out opportunities to people who, in his eyes, had not earned them. He spoke of being treated as if he were replaceable, and that was something his ego could not accept. Pacing the ring like a predator, Seth declared that he was done waiting for acknowledgement. If WWE would not recognize his importance willingly, he would force them to do so. Nick Aldis attempted to calm the situation, reminding Seth that this was not the way to handle his frustrations. Seth's response was immediate and brutal. He struck Aldis with a right hand that dropped the general manager to the mat. The arena gasped in shock as Seth assaulted a non-wrestling authority figure on live television. The authors of pain moved instantly, positioning themselves to block the ramp and prevent anyone from intervening. Standing over all this, Seth explained that he brought Akam and Rizar because he was finished asking for respect. From now on he would take whatever he wanted, and his enforcers would make sure no one stopped him. The moment that truly crossed a line came when Seth deliberately stomped on Aldous' hand, the symbolic hand that signs contracts and controls matches. It was a calculated act meant to show that no one, not even management, was beyond his reach. When referees and agents rushed out to help, the authors of pain swatted them away effortlessly, adding to the sense of helplessness. Seth then demanded that a video package be played on the big screen. The footage was a montage of his career, from his early days to his time in the Shield and his past villainous runs, all narrated by Seth himself. He spoke about the Architect being more than a nickname, calling it a prophecy that had led him to this moment of seeking total control. The video ended with Seth declaring that SmackDown now belonged to him, that every opportunity would go through him, and that anyone who disagreed would answer to the authors of pain. This hostile takeover was immediately followed by the arrival of LA Knight, who ran down to confront Seth. Knight, a rising star with strong fan support, tried to stand up for the brand, but he never stood a chance. Akam and Rizar ambushed him, delivering a vicious double-team assault while Seth watched calmly. They finished Knight with their devastating move, leaving him laid out and unmoving. That attack was only the beginning. Over the next stretch of the show, Seth and his enforcers tore through SmackDown like a wrecking crew. Backstage cameras caught Johnny Gargano being hurled into equipment cases, Santos Escobar driven through a table, and Apollo Crews beaten down in the parking lot. Each assault followed a similar pattern. Seth would confront the wrestler, belittle their worth, and then step aside as the authors of pain inflicted punishment. Seth rarely touched his victims, reinforcing the idea that he was the mastermind, inflicting psychological damage while his monsters handled the physical brutality. The most emotionally charged moment came when Seth targeted Sami Zayn. A former ally Sami tried to reason with him, reminding Seth of their shared history and urging him not to throw it all away. Seth responded with venom, dismissing Sami as a sympathy case who only received opportunities because fans felt sorry for him. He ended the exchange with a super kick before Akam and Rizar delivered a series of powerbombs. The betrayal felt personal and cruel, further cementing Seth's new identity. The night concluded with Seth interrupting what was supposed to be a championship match. He demanded that the winner face him the following week, not for a title, but simply to prove his superiority. When the competitors hesitated, the authors of pain destroyed them as well. The show closed with Seth standing amid the wreckage, declaring that this was only the beginning and welcoming everyone to what he called the Rollins era. The controversy surrounding this angle stems from several key issues. Many fans argue that the heel turn feels unearned, given that Seth was preaching pride and loyalty just weeks earlier. Others question the sudden return of the authors of pain, who had been absent for years with no explanation. There is also frustration over the way multiple rising stars were flattened in a single night, potentially undoing months of character development. Authority figures looked powerless, and the long-term direction of the story remains unclear. Fan reactions are sharply divided. Loyal supporters of babyface Seth feel betrayed and disillusioned, while others believe this darker version is far more compelling. Casual viewers are confused by the abrupt changes. Backstage reactions are reportedly mixed as well, with excitement clashing against resentment. Despite the risks, the angle has generated massive buzz, drawing attention from fans, media, and wrestlers alike. Now WWE faces a critical challenge. They must decide whether they can sustain this heat and guide the story toward a satisfying payoff. Seth Rollins has placed himself at the center of the wrestling world, daring fans to hate him and daring WWE to follow through. Whether this will be remembered as a legendary heel run or a squandered opportunity remains to be seen, but one thing is undeniable: SmackDown has been irrevocably changed, and the Visionaries' descent into villainy has put the entire WWE on edge.